I love photography and I love wildlife, so what better way to combine my passions than with a photography expedition where I would hopefully learn what it takes to get great shots of brilliant creatures like the osprey, pine marten and the elusive red squirrel. Armed with some of the best photography equipment around, my trip would take me 600 miles from down here in London right the way up the country to the Cairngorms National Park in the heart of the Scottish Highlands, stopping off of course at the T-Bay Services farm shop for some really rather excellent biscuits. After about 9 hours of driving, it's time to get familiar with the cottage. So there's the car outside, of course, in the rain, safely in the rain. Nice kitchen. We have a living room with sofas and chairs. Ooh, lovely conservatory in here. We're right in the middle of a forest here as well. Scottish Field magazine with chickens. Downstairs bedroom, single bed and a desk. Looks like here is the router. So this bed is where I'm going to get the strongest signal. Strongest being the operative word because of course they have Strongman Popeye on the beds. Ooh, I can play Twister by myself. And look at all these VHSs. Scotch VHSs, JVC and Memorex. We've got here BBC's Pride and Prejudice on VHS. Aha, stairs. Lovely bedroom. Ensuite, 2 single beds, bathroom, another twin room with a, looks like a goose and a Care Bear and some sort of psychedelic elephant. So there we go, there's the upstairs. I might not use the upstairs. It has occurred to me slightly that the guy staying alone in a cabin in the forest is a horror movie setting which has been really rather overdone. I think I'll be fine. I guess. I hope. In order to be prepared for any photo situation that might occur, I brought a big stack of equipment with me. Look at it all. Canon 6D, 5D3, wide angle lens, macro lens, Sigma 150 to 600mm, Canon's massive, well there's a Canon isn't it? My 70 to 200 and a Gitzo carbon fibre tripod to keep everything still. So I'm up, got coffee, it's 3:30 in the morning, I've got to meet the photographer at 4 o'clock where we're going to go and then get into his hide and hopefully find some ospreys. Now he did tell me last night over the phone that there is a chance that, because we've had a lot of rain, the hide might actually have been flooded, in which case if we go in it we will drown. It is horribly early in the morning, it's not quite daylight outside yet, and this is seeming like less of a good idea than it did last night, given that I've only had about maybe 2 hours sleep. I'm off to a hide next to a lake in the nearby town of Aviemore. Little more than a ditch in the ground, this hide will hopefully let me get close-up shots of the ospreys without them being alerted to my presence. I've been in here a couple of hours now. The light is terrible, so I'm having to use awful settings, so my shots aren't coming out very well. We've had a few birds trying to grab some fish from the lake, but they've not done a great job of it. And I've not done a great job of capturing them, which is a disappointment. The weather's only getting worse. It's raining. You can see how cloudy it is. Which means it's not only unusually dim, it's just this horrible grey light. There's no controlling when the birds show up, of course, so my morning involves a lot of waiting and waiting and waiting. So far this morning, this is certainly one of the best shots I've got. Maybe a bit of this guy. You can see with reasonably sharp on the eye, but I've had to use such a abnormally slow shutter speed and a high ISO that it's just not that. It's not great, and the light, it's just nothing like what I'd hoped it would be. Just 2 days ago, the weather was completely different. They had this gorgeous golden light. It was bright. Show me some of the photos that people got from there, and they looked stunning. This lovely backlight to the birds, pin sharp, great colours. Looked amazing, and it could not be any more different just 2 days later, which is extremely frustrating because the weather forecast over the next few days doesn't look like it's going to pick up. So I think my opportunities for those beautifully lit dramatic shots are going to be a bit limited. Also, I'm a bit too tall for this hide, and I keep banging my head on these struts, which hurts. Day one has been a disappointment, to say the least. The rain is still coming down. It hasn't stopped all day. I've been looking through the shots I've got. Nothing's particularly impressive, and certainly nothing I'm even remotely pleased with, considering how much effort I've gone to come here. In my head, I'm already writing a story about how failure is okay and what you can still learn from this sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, I'm still expected to write this article. We've paid plenty of money for me to be here in this cottage for a week. I've got to write something. Tomorrow morning, I'm heading to, there is a cafe in the middle of a forest which has a good reputation for having a variety of different birds and red squirrels feeding right outside. They know I'm going to be there from about 5 o'clock. It didn't even open until 10 o'clock, so I've got pretty much the full reign of the place for a few hours before people start showing up. So really hoping I can get some good shots there. Failing that, my lifeline will be the hide I'm booked into on Sunday evening, where I'm hoping to be able to get some nice shots of badgers and pine marten. But even then, if it's raining that hard, which it is currently forecast to, they may not even show up at all. So that could be several hours of me sitting in a box in the woods, in the dark, in the middle of the night, for literally no good reason. Here's hoping the weather improves after a decent night's sleep. I have another pre-sunrise start, but this time I'm off to a local cafe that's known for its visiting birds and squirrels, and for its cake. I got some fair shots from the cafe, but the poor light meant that nothing looked brilliant. As I ventured up to the grouse moor, it was clear that the weather was only going to get worse. I'm having really no luck whatsoever. Very disappointing. Don't quite know what I'm going to do. Oh, there goes my hood. Fantastic. I am drenched and my hair is looking awesome. I guess I'm just going to have to wait and see what else I can get. Very, very bad times indeed. It really is just awful out there. The rain isn't stopping at all. It's freezing cold, my hands feel numb. I mean, it's supposed to be summer. Scotland and I greatly differ on our definition of summer. The weather looked a bit brighter on the morning of day 3, so I went back to the hide for a second attempt to capture the amazing ospreys on camera. We've got better weather. It's still grey, but the light is much better. So I've already had a few good shots coming out. Nothing spectacular, but so much better than I was getting the other day. Luckily, my perseverance was paying off. The brighter light meant I was getting sharper shots of the birds with the action nicely frozen. That's a bit more like it. With a good set of shots in the bag, I went back to the moors from yesterday to get some proper photos of the lovely red grouse. What a difference a day makes though. It's not raining, it's not as cold, there's a lot more light, so I'm getting much better photos. I haven't got as many wildlife shots so far as I hoped I'd get, so I kind of want to basically fill the blank pages of the magazine with kind of anything of interest. So I've come down to the side of the lake. I found this nice line of rocks coming out, which I thought would make a really good shot for a long exposure. So I've got my Lee big stopper filters attached on the tripod, of course, and I've got my remote release doing a bulb exposure of about a minute to hopefully get some nice silky smooth water and Maybe even some movement in the clouds, although there's not a lot of wind, so these clouds aren't moving all that much, but we'll see what we get. And the day just gets better and better. The sun came out and I was able to take off my 3 jackets. I've been out and about all over the place. I've been over at Carbridge to do some long exposure stuff for the river tumbling underneath it. And now I've parked up at the end of this trackway and I'm on my way down to Loch Var, where there's a small like fishing house that I've been told about, which could make some really nice shots. And we may see some wildlife down there, we may not. It may just be about seeing the nature and getting sort of general landscape shots. Either way, I don't mind, because it's a beautiful place we're walking down. Sky's blue, sun shining. It's going pretty well now. It's amazing to think that this is Scotland, not somewhere in Canada or somewhere else luxurious. It's Scotland. And yesterday it was chucking it down with rain, windy as all hell, and I couldn't get anything. And today, this. It's now about 5:30, and I've been on the go for a long time. Haven't really eaten, so it's definitely dinner time, I think. I think I've earned it. The question is, what to have? Beef. I think beef. Steak. 2 steaks. It's for last evening. This is Sunday. Today I've been out up the mountain, which has been great. I've been spending quite a lot of time actually going through all the photos I've been taking back in the cottage. Had a nice lunch. And now I'm getting ready to go to the hide in the middle of the forest, where I'm hoping to see some badgers and pine martens. I've certainly got some decent shots of other things so far, so it could be kind of like a nice extra to have if it works out. I've got to be in there for about 9, and I think usually expect to sort of be there until certainly past midnight, if not 2 o'clock-ish, so it's going to be a late one when I'm driving back to London in one go tomorrow. It's about 600 miles, so might need to do a few strategic naps in service stations on the way, so that I'm not too tired to make the distance. But yes, it's been a good trip. Once in the hide, I barely had time to prepare my equipment before the first pine marten family made their appearance.
There are pine martens feeding right in front of me. These are wild animals, wild pine martens, and with very little care. And it's only about 9:30, and here they are. There's 3 of them. That looks like the mother. And 2 kits, as they're called. 1 and 2. I was wrong. We've got 4. There's 2 there. You can see on the table. And down there, running off 2 more. There they go, away up that path. So that really was incredible. I've been here. Well, I'd been here about 15 minutes. The guide had left the hide after. And within 5 minutes of him having left, I look out the window and there's four pine martens already here, already feeding. I mean, I thought I'd be waiting here a good couple of hours before I maybe saw 1, if there's any guarantee of them arriving at all. And within minutes, there's 4 there. It's absolutely incredible, and such a joy to see them this close. It really is amazing. Now I have just seen over in the distance there's a whole group of wild deer. I'd have loved to get some photos of those guys around here, but I am somewhat stuck, as it were, in this hide. If I leave now at any point, even just nip outside to go to the toilet, I'll disturb the wildlife. They'll hear the noise, they'll catch my scent, and it will mean that not only will they disappear now, but they definitely won't come back for the rest of this evening. The people who operate this hide have to be very strict that once you're in, you're in. There are now 4 badgers. There's 2 outside here, 2 on the other side. So wherever I choose to stand, I'm going to see the badgers, which is such amazing little things. Seeing them up close like this is fantastic. This badger does not care that I'm this close. You can definitely see me, I'm sure. You can probably smell me as well. They've got amazing senses of smell, but it's far too focused on the nuts on the ground. This badger is probably about 1.5 feet from me. Look, there's my hand. There's the badger. That is incredible. So it's now 3:20 in the morning. I'm just leaving the hide. It is super early, or super late I suppose I should say. Annoyingly, I do have a 9-hour drive to do today back to London, but may have to have a bit of a sleep first. It's been a good night though, well worth it. Got some great shots of the pine marten and the badger. Both species put in great appearances. 3:20 AM. I don't know what I was thinking.
Thanks to multiple coffee stops along the way, I did eventually make it back to London in one piece. I did learn a lot of important lessons on the way. I can go to a stunning location with some of the best camera equipment around, but if the weather doesn't play ball, then you're going home with nothing. Thankfully though, I did have some success, and it was because of the knowledge I gained from the local guides, as well as my own sheer perseverance in battling through the elements, that I thankfully came away with many of the shots that I set out to get.